Parents prepare baby funeral. Then the unthinkable happens. Abigail Jones came to life on August 6 in a world where the odds piled against her, but then received devastating news. Their little angel has an incurable brain tumor and probably won't live long. The Jones family, despite the devastating news, remains determined to make the most of her short existence by showering her with affection. This melancholy photo reflects the bittersweet nature of their family's life in a beautiful way. Erica writes on a blog run by husband and wife photographer Mary that we feel so small. Abby's life, long or short, has a purpose, dealing with the news that Abigail, their second daughter, will be born with Down syndrome. Parents first have to put up with it. However, the news of the incurable tumor was a completely different story. Our hearts are ravaged and our thoughts are weighed down with questions and horror of what lies ahead. Erica remembers the neurosurgeon asking us to take Abigail home and surround her with love. We did, and the Pediatric Research Institute will help us navigate the next phase of our journey. Our intention is to wrap this little baby with love and kisses for as long as we get the chance. During Erica Jones' pregnancy, doctors warned her that most likely her baby would not survive birth. Erica Jones, her daughter, was born alive. The woman from Jacksonville, FLA, who is also the mother of a 2-year-old girl named Audrey, underwent a 30-week ultrasound and discovered that something strange was on her brain. After further investigation, it was discovered to be a large brain tumor. The doctor warned us that it would be quite serious. According to ABC News, the outlook is really bleak as a nurse working in neurology, Jones said. Jones admitted it was devastating and expressed disappointment at the news. Erica and Stephen's baby girl was diagnosed with Down syndrome just 3 months before their marriage. According to Jones, by the end of our first morning class, we were quickly healed and very happy. Jones says growth is smart. He seemed to come out of nowhere. Her brain appeared to be completely healthy at 26 weeks and she was 30 weeks pregnant when the part of her injured brain appeared to be huge. Jones said she prayed that I would decide to go this route and that I didn't want to sacrifice my baby. I explained, I imagine God just said I'm so sorry and sobbed at us, and that's all she described. Trouble. It's important that we prepare for the worst and make sure she has a meaningful existence, no matter how brief. Abigail Noel Jones was born on August 6. Jones' family feared she would die soon after giving birth. Instead, it was not a professional photographer, Mary Hushka, who captured the images you see here. A few days later, the tumor grew larger and was suspected to be cancerous. After Abigail was born, an MRI scan performed shortly after her birth, doctors informed Jones that chemotherapy would almost certainly cause the disease. Abigail's death and the procedure to remove the tumor won't stop her from coming back. The Jones family decided to bring Abigail home to a children's hospital. I can't accept her dying in a plastic box in the hospital. In the neonatal intensive care unit, he will be with us at home, surrounded by our love and arms. When the time comes, each day passes. On the other hand, gives the Joneses a glimmer of optimism. Constant has been in Abigail since she was born, and Jones claims to a stranger. It cannot be said that something is wrong with her. She's the most laid-back baby you'll ever meet. She just loves being held in her arms. She's still staring at your face, following your eyes after removing the feeding tube. She started gaining weight. Jones said she believes Abigail will be cured, but it could cost her her life. He will heal. Taking her last breath, she claimed, if he hadn't healed her while she was still here on Earth, we'd realize that Abigail's death was heartbreaking. But his life serves a purpose. According to parents and doctors, a baby who did not live and won the hearts of netizens last month with his heartbreaking images, has overcome all challenges and lived to tell his story. After being diagnosed with deadly brain cancer while still in utero, Abigail Jones and her family embark on their journey, first reported by ABC News. Doctors informed her parents that she would most likely die shortly after birth, and any surgery or chemotherapy would almost certainly lead to her death. Her parents took her home and placed her in a pediatric hospice while they waited for what they considered near death. On the other hand, Abigail prospered according to her parents' wishes. A newborn baby girl with Down syndrome, which was also discovered before birth, she predestined her growth and development, although the tumor was still very large and prominent. Her mother, Erica Jones, said in a September interview with ABC News that she was the coldest baby ever. She just loves being held in her arms. She stares at your face, following your eyes after removing the feeding tube. She started gaining weight. Her parents said they became increasingly hopeful after being told there was nothing they could do. The Jones family eventually found a doctor who disagreed with the initial diagnosis. According to Dr. Alan R. Cohen, chief of neurosurgery at Boston Children's Hospital, the family was discharged home from the Florida hospital after Abigail was sentenced to death. Through Mark Kieran, chief of neuro-oncology at Boston Children's Hospital, the Jones family, learned that the tumor might not be cancerous. After the MRI examination, I concluded that the tumor was not cancerous. I spoke on the phone with Abigail's mother and informed her that I believe there is sufficient doubt about the diagnosis to justify postponing Abigail's death. The Jones family took a trip to Boston earlier this week. We had another MRI that confirmed my suspicions. That's really unwise growth. For the first time, we performed a left anterior craniotomy on Abigail to remove the tumor. Which turned out to be a benign tumor. Cohen said he did not expect the tumor to return. Her parents posted the following message on Abigail's Joy, her Facebook page. "This morning, I congratulate him. It's a delight to see this beautiful baby. I could barely breathe. Honey, I have the right to keep you. I can't wait to see how your story plays out to describe what a wonderful, overwhelming and healing witness you are." As they prepared to be discharged from the hospital on Monday, they shared the following thoughts. "We can never fully describe what BCH means to our family. It has had a profound impact on our lives. You will be forever grateful." Cohen expressed his optimism about the future. His prognosis is good at this point, despite the fact that the story begins on a very sad note. It ends on a really happy note. Abigail Jones, a baby from Florida, was born with Down syndrome. And what doctors believe is a giant cancerous brain tumor that would be difficult to remove without killing the tiny infant made headlines last month. Despite the bleak outlook, Erica and Stephen accept that their daughter's life will be weeks or months, not years. In the words of the mother of their daughters. However, despite their sadness, they are still determined to make the short time they have with Abigail as happy and loved as possible. Their heartbreaking story, along with their amazing family photos, went viral almost immediately, and the whole world, myself included, expressed their sympathies to this young family in these days. During this difficult time, although their story moved me deeply, I assumed he was the last person we heard from the Joneses. Fortunately, I was wrong. Eric and Stephen Jones sought a second opinion, this time from experts at the renowned Boston Children's Hospital. At same time when their heartbreaking loss was making headlines when Abigail's MRI was analyzed by two specialists at the hospital. Alan R. Cohen, neurosurgeon-in-chief, and Mark Kieran, chief of neuro-oncology. They concluded that her brain tumor was not malignant. As a result, the family traveled to Boston where Abigail underwent another MRI examination. This time, the imaging confirmed the doctor's suspicions that the tumor was not cancerous. After all, within a few days, the courageous little girl underwent a complicated procedure to remove the enormous lump, which was ultimately successful. Moreover, Dr. Cohen believes that the tumor will not recur, which means Abigail has been given the green light to resume her normal activities. Her prognosis is fantastic, he said in an interview with ABC News. There is a very tragic beginning to this narrative, but there is also a very beautiful finish. It goes without saying that Abigail's parents are distraught. They published the wonderful news on their Facebook page Abigail's Joy as soon as they received it, adding, "We are overjoyed. This morning I'm praising him. So enthralled with happiness. When I look at this beautiful beauty, I can hardly take a breath. I'm allowed to keep you, my darling. I'm looking forward to seeing how your story unfolds for the purpose of describing how you are living. Testimony of healing, amazing, overwhelmed. Yes, I couldn't have articulated that any better than that. Congratulations to the Jones family on their fantastic success story. Thanks for watching. Please like and share the video in social networks. We'll be right back to you as fast as we can.